Welcome to this week's edition of MANstream Media, where you get the news and the issues with a male-friendly perspective. And yes, we're on time tonight, and I hope we can make a habit of that. With me tonight is Paul Elam, founder of A Voice for Men. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing great right here in my male space, Tom. Thank you.
Indeed, and I'm doing great right here in my male space. And in fact, that's what we're talking about tonight, is male space. And it's a thorny subject, this male space thing, because it's been under attack. In fact, I think one way to look at it is to say the invasion of the masculine snatchers. You know, it's been going on for 50 years. You know, where male space has been tormented, has been taken down, and replaced with something that's a hyper, what would you call it, Paul? It's not real. It's kind of a female-male space.
I think that what we have left, I mean, there's a couple of places that are still left for male space, but very few. There's not, we don't have, I mean, you can see this all around the culture. One thing is like female reporters in male locker rooms.
Exactly.
You're not going to see guy reporters in female locker rooms, I can promise you that. And it's not that they would want to be there, but you're not going to see it because we have come to be a society that views anything male as a part of this patriarchy that women have a right to come in and destroy. And I think we also have to acknowledge that we coined terms in this culture like man cave for a reason, because wants to be recognized, and maybe still is in a lot of relationships, that men needed a space that was their own, that was about them. But you note that in a home, a man cave really means something separate and different from everything else, that everything else has to be given up, that there's nothing in the rest of the house that is really his space. I have fought with enough in my day and time of finding things in the bathroom for my stuff. And that's the reality of a lot of men's lives. But we have, on a more serious note, we've systematically dismantled male space in this society. We have taken it down. We have surrendered it to women. We have all these lawsuits going on now with country clubs that were men only, and now women have to be let in. The young woman years ago sued West Point in order to be a female candidate, and I forgot her name, but she sued to get in, and then of course dropped after about a couple of weeks of the reality of what West Point was like. But everywhere you look,
why did she drop out?
She couldn't hack it.
Yeah, I think that's true. But also, I think a part of it that's important here is that she wanted to be the first woman to be in West Point. You know, there's this pull for women to be the first woman to be the Danica Patrick, you know, the one who drives in NASCAR or whatever. But after that happens, the glitz wears off. You know, it's like it's no longer glamorous. It's like, oh, you mean I got to do this?
And, you know, I had no problem with Patrick getting into racing because she qualified. She knows how to drive. She's a good racer. So she competed and got there. But to say you got to let somebody in just because there's a woman is absolutely insane. And what it's done, unfortunately, men used to have places that they get responsibilities as fathers, as husbands, as protectors and providers, where they connected to each other. Yes. And where they could breathe a little bit and be themselves. And that is one of the first things that feminist ideologues attacked, often with the help of housewives and other women in the culture who are resentful of men having time or space to themselves that does not revolve around the woman. And we've lost a lot.
Other men.
What's that, Tom?
And attacked by other men.
Yeah, of course.
Take care of those women, you know.
Yes, you need to stop having your boys' club, and we name things like good old boys' club in a derogatory way, and no girls allowed is like something negative. Guess what? No girls allowed in some places is a really good thing for men. Men have to have space. You know, Tom and I were just talking a minute before we started this deal about what men are like when they're just among each other and then what happens when a woman enters the room. You can watch that dynamic change drastically, because men kid with themselves, they'll punch at each other, they'll make really rude, disgusting jokes, curse each other, have fun, and they connect and bond that way. It's a normal part to do that. And then what happens is a woman enters the room, and all the guys, all of a sudden, their back stiffen, like they have better posture, and the language changes drastically. And with that change, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because men and women coexist. They need to live together. But when you take away that space for men to be men, you're robbed something, and that has been all but gutted out of our culture.
And how did they get to the point where they are able to gut so much of it? I mean, what was the overriding idea that allowed them to move into that space, you think?
I think it was the whole idea, and it was done, just like you said, it was done mostly by feminist ideologues with the help of white knights or male feminists, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. They're enablers who tell them that they're privileged and they have the right to go in and invade other people's space and tell them what the rules are going to be from now on. Because one of the things that always happens is that when you enter male space, the rules change. Everything becomes about them. I'm not criticizing women for this, because men are just as guilty. But the rules start changing and evolving so that it all becomes about women. Yes. Look at the skeptic community. What happened to them? Man, the feminists rolled in, and all of a sudden all their dialogue started changing and became about protecting women. And that's fine. You want to protect women? I've got no bone to pick with you, but there are times and places that men need to themselves. In honor of that, tonight, as I'm monitoring the comments and we take questions, I'm not taking any from any girls. Boys only.
This is male space, eh?
This is male space tonight.
Good.
And we can say fuck if we want to, and Tom and I can joke with each other, and we do as friends. We joke with each other as men in ways that we probably wouldn't do in the company of women. And there's something great about that I think is tragic that gets ripped out of men's life. And of course now we have a whole generation of boys that doesn't even know what male space is, or that it ever even existed.
Yes, I think I'd add one thing, Paul, and that is that, you know, one of the reasons they were able to tear male space apart is because they pathologized it. They made it seem like it was something bad. They made it seem like men were using that space for their advantage and to disadvantage women. You know, and with that underlying idea, the white knights could come in and go, oh, we're going to make sure you're not hurt by this. So the idea was that male space was hurtful to women. Somehow men getting together was hurtful to women, which is bizarre.
Let me give you a great example of that. I wrote an article, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and you can go onto ABFM find it now in our little search device there. It's called Christopher Kilmartin and the Amazing Frozen Vagina.
I remember that one.
Yes, and it was at a country club, and these guys, in their group of men, had a vodka fountain, and the vodka fountain was a shaved, or not a shaved ice, but a ice sculpture of a woman with her legs spread, and she's peeing vodka. And Christopher Kilmartin was the one that attacked that. He's a member of what, NOMUS?
And Division 51.
And Division 51 of the APA are friendly guys that study masculinity and think that men need to be women.
Yes.
And, of course, yeah, it's corrupt academic fraud, a bunch of other stuff. We have dealt with these guys before. But he wrote an article about how that frozen vagina could contribute to violence against women. There was something evil and sinister about drinking vodka from a frozen vagina, and because somehow a woman was going to end up beat up or raped, and those poor schleps in there didn't even know they were contributing to this problem. Yep. We are gynocentric in this culture that a dude can say some stupid shit like that, and he's going to get a fair proportion of people that will go, oh, it hurts women. Well, I'm against it.
Yep.
No more frozen vaginas in country clubs. And if we leave men alone, they're going to do stuff like get a frozen vagina and serve vodka out of it. You know, it makes me want to do an eye roll so hard I got to do a wind up to
Yeah.
get through. Tom, I don't know, how the fuck did we get here?
Well, it's been a slow process, man. It's been a grind to watch over the last 50 years. This male space has just been invaded and invaded and invaded until now. You know, the thing in Sweden where they want to invade the male bathrooms, make sure the men can't pee standing up. It's like, damn. You know, you're going to invade male space in their bathrooms?
Yes, because urinals are an instrument of the patriarchy.
Yes. How dare they stand up and pee? It's like, that really, it's gotten bad. I mean, it's gotten really bad. I can see somewhat the idea that business deals were done on the golf course. You know?
Sure.
I can see that. I can see how some clubs were kind of advantaging people in business to be able to schmooze and rub shoulders. But that's a tiny, tiny percentage of the male space we're talking about. And at the same time, you know, this is what gets me. At the same time, we pathologize male space. We worship female. We make sure that women can all get together. We've got, here, let me show you this. We've got two organizations. One you see there on the, I don't know which side it is, but it's the National Organization for the Women's Commissions. So it lists the hundreds of women's commissions around the country. This is female space. This is what we've got. I mean, imagine one that said, you know, the National Association for Men's Commissions. It would be one or two people listed. You know, that's about it. And then the other one is the National Organization for Women's Groups. And again, it's hundreds upon hundreds of women's groups where it's only women. It's not about men. It's only about women. And somehow we've gotten to the point where male space is bad, but female space is good. It's like, that is crazy. I mean, seriously, that is crazy thinking. You know, and how we got there is just people not standing up and saying no. You know, how
You might want to kill that picture, Tom.
What's that?
You might want to kill that picture.
Oh, I don't want to kill it at all.
Yeah, well, that would be a very male action.
Well, that's right, but I forgot all about it. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate the reminder.
You know, another example that I wanted to bring up, and this is something where we can get a literal verbal explanation directly from the mouth of a feminist. In November of 2012, Warren Farrell went to speak at the University of Toronto, and the place was invaded by radical feminists. People were harassed, police were assaulted. It was actually quite violent protest, full of hate, full of degradation. And Steve Brule, in his interviews there, talked to one young man who said he was just there to try to find out why two of his friends had committed suicide.
Right.
And of course, by the way, we will note that women were not barred from this lecture. It's just that it was about men and about boys. and this guy wanted to learn more so he could deal with his grief. And Steve, I believe, he asked, what I think it was Steve asking, but one of the feminists protesting there was asked, well, if he wants to go find out about the death of his friends, why shouldn't he be allowed to? And she immediately, I mean, she had the answer immediately, well, there's feminist space for this sort of thing. You don't need this particular space.
Wow.
And so the message was, and go back and watch Steve Brule's video of that protest because you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. She is saying that if you want to grieve, you will do so under our supervision and instruction and under our control.
Control's the big word.
Yes, it is. And this is how you turn men into sock puppets. And sadly, going to say it, guys, you can be pissed off if you want to. The vast majority of men will line up for it and say, thank you, ma'am, can I have another?
Yeah, there you go.
So men's space was sacred and holy until women attacked it, and then guess what? They gave it up like a girl at the prom.
Now they gave it up. I'm not sure it was like a girl at the prom, but
well, yeah, it wasn't nearly as pleasant as that, but they gave it up. And
yeah, we certainly have given it up on so many fronts, man. It's just unbelievable, all the male spaces that have been dismantled.
You know, Dr. T does some great work, and she talks about, you know, men that in relationships and some of the things that happen, and that's one of the key things. And there's been Karen Strawn and Dr. T and myself, a lot of people have made a comparison between feminism as a movement and the way that personality disorders are expressed in people's behavior. And what you see there in certain relationships is, especially with high conflict personality disorder types, one of the first things that is attacked is the man's interest in his friends. I don't like your friends, stay away from them. And the idea is to isolate and control. And that's what's happened in this culture. Tom, you've been a practitioner for a long time. Have you seen this expressed in your office or seen it acted out in couples?
Which?
Whether individuals or couples, the erosion of a man's, I want to say rights, but actually his choices being taken away from him, or him surrendering them, however, whatever lens you want to look at.
Yeah, you know, it is almost a traditional piece of marriage now that when you get married, the guy's interests get kind of strewn. They get kind of thinned out. His friends get thinned out. And I think that's a part of what you're talking about. And, you know, when I work with men who are married, I say to them, you know, what's your interest? What do you like to do? You know, do you get a night out? Do you go out and do X, Y, Z? You know, because men need to do that. We have this need to be with other men and to be with ourselves sometimes, you know, just to go out and do nothing. And, yeah, I see that all the time.
What is it about the way that men connect with each other, Tom, that you know, I don't care a hoot about what a feminist has to say about how I interact with other men. We may make joke others, and that's fine with me. But what is it about this sort of antagonistic, friendly antagonistic connection that men have with each other?
I think it's a very productive kind of thing that's completely misunderstood, you know, because I think it's based on evolution. You know, men have worked in hierarchies for eons, and in a hierarchy, you want to push the guy next to you to work. You want to push the guy next to you to be the best he can be. You know, you want to push yourself, and the other guys are going to push your ass. You know, they're going to get you going. It's like this is the way. God, I had this teacher, this band conductor, when I was in high school. And he pushed people to the maximum. You know, we'd be playing this. It was one of the best high school bands in the country. It was really a great band. But we'd be playing a song, and all of a sudden, he'd stop. He'd scowl. He'd look at the cornets. Okay, third cornet, play from bars 124, you know. And they'd play, and he'd say, no, one at a time. And one at a time, they'd have to play. The guy that screwed up, he says, out. Don't come back until you can play that. Everyone in that band knew that they would be called on the carpet, that they would be pushed to get there, act together, to do well. This is hurtful. You might hurt that cornet player's feelings if you told him to get out of the band room until he could learn how to play the damn part. And what we've sacrificed is excellence.
Absolutely. You know, you can see the same thing played out in teams that work on construction sites, where maybe some newbie comes in and accidentally pulls the trigger on a nail gun and plants one in his leg. Oh. They're not going to rush around him and say, poor baby. They're going to say, well, that'll teach his ass.
Really?
He comes back to the job, he won't do that again. But they will get him to medical care, get him help and everything. There is just a different way that men do things with each other.
Yes.
And it results in excellence. It results in civilization. It results in the aqueducts being built and people landing on the moon and cures being found for disease. It results in every positive things and some of the negative things that we experience as a world culture. But if we want to advance as a civilization, I'm sorry, ladies, but we need men to be left alone to work and to do their thing and to be with each other to get things done, because that's how it works. It always has.
And we've eliminated that to a degree, and I think we're paying the price for it with this country. We're no longer excellent.
No,
we're downhill. You know, and I think a part of it may be attributed to the lack of male space. You know, the workplace, for instance, it's incredible how men in the workplace used to just get on each other. You know, they'd harass each other, basically, right?
Yep.
Women came into the workplace. Wait, you can't do what you've done for years. You've got to change. You've got to be nice now at work. And the men are like, what? Are you kidding? If it was John, I would have told him, go screw himself, you know? And now I got to not say anything at all? That's right. So the whole idea of harassment didn't happen until women entered into the workplace.
Hi, I have a vagina and a whole new set of rules. Never mind what's worked for several thousand years. I'm female, and I know all about how to make 9,000 people work together and, you know, build a bridge that costs, you know, 2 miles of river.
We just cooperate. We don't need to tell each other how bad we're doing. We cooperate, Paul.
Yes, and that should extend like into grade school where, well, we can't play dodgeball anymore. We can't declare a winner. We can't declare a winner because the loser, which we can't say, might feel bad about not having won. So yes, in order to make everybody cooperative, we take away rewards for winning and we take away penalties for losing. We remove the incentive for children to learn to be better than they are, especially boys. And what do we look at the education system now? People graduating left and right, unable to read at a grade level of what's appropriate for their grade level, in some cases being functionally illiterate with a high school diploma. It happens, folks. And we've got people that don't understand math or even how to think, leaving schools unprepared. I read an interview from a major CEO, I forget, it was one of the really big companies like Google or something like that, said that the #1 problem with young male applicants on jobs was that they had a totally unrealistic expectation of what performance meant. That when demands were put on them, they freaked out. They didn't know what to do, and often became resentful about it. And I think that's related to our process of educating boys, that we have steered them away from competition with each other, and I mean gone to extremes for that.
Yes.
Because that's how boys learn, is they compete, and you give them objectives and things to do.
Oh, man, there's a school in D.C. for boys, and I forget the name. I wish I could remember the name. But it has 2 teams. I can't remember. It's either I think it's the blue and the red team, right?
That's interesting.
So far, so good. When the boy goes to the school, the first day, he's assigned either to the blue team, and from that point forward, everything he does, grades, deportment, special interests. So if he gets good grades, his team gets more points. And so he is working not just for himself, he's working for his team, and those boys go crazy. You know, they work their ass off in order to make sure their team wins and beats the other guys, you know? So you've got this school of boys competing with each other to try and get the honor of the trophy, you know? It's a great way to have them learn. So it's a wonderful masculine way to have them learn. They do wonderfully. But, you know, it's so, no, let's not hurt anyone's feelings.
I take it that this is a private school?
It's a very private school, and it's probably pretty expensive. You know?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I guess that's what it takes to get educated
that is what
appropriately
it
anymore.
takes. That's exactly right.
Too
So what
many
was it like
ideologue
here, right?
teachers. Well, and the teachers we have nowadays in public schools are too busy having sex with their students to really educate them anyway. Um, and but that's sort of another. We'll do a program on that one. Um,
Yeah.
but again, so how again at it, we always come to a point when we identify a problem. Masculine space has been pretty much eviscerated from this culture. There's a few pockets here and there. I mean, we don't even consider a voice for men a masculine space. We talk about men and men's issues, but women are there and they're part of it. But in more real world settings where it actually counts, how do we get past this prohibition on male space? And I know that one of the things that's come up is something modeled after the shed movement in Australia, which is really something powerful and positive. But how do we do that when they're still out there trying to shut down men whenever they want to talk about these issues, even if they have women with them? They want to shut it down.
Yeah.
So how do we move from there into a culture where space becomes, well, men will start demanding their own space, which is what I should say.
That is very, very slowly, because it's going to take a long time to build up a certain amount of knowledge, but also a certain amount of ability for men to see that their needs are important. You know, that their needs and what they need is an important thing to honor and to look after. You know, because right now, men tend to think their needs are less important than women's needs, and that they should be doing things for women. And, you know, we need to start helping men to see that, wait a minute, you know, my needs are important. I do need to do things for myself. You know, I should go out with the guys once a week. We should go out and do whatever we want to do for a while and have fun. You know, so many guys tell me, you know, they say, you know, when I was a little guy, my friends and I would do all kinds of things. We'd get into trouble. We'd go here and there. Guys, we'd play and have fun. In college, we had good friends. As soon as I got out of college, everything fell apart. No more friends doing things. You know, so we've got to find ways to help men get back into that recreational space, recreational male space, where they can be shoulder to shoulder with other men, do things, have a good time. And you know, it's when men do things and have a good time that they also heal. You know, the two are
Yes.
definitely connected. And not just that, but when men are productive together, they also heal. Men, you know, where men bond the most is in places where they're shoulder to shoulder doing a very important task that's dangerous. That's where men bond. Think about, you know, policemen who are partners, firemen on the same squad, people at war buddies. All of these places are men shoulder to shoulder doing the same task where they are basically doing something dangerous, you know? And it's in that area that men start to feel close to each other. You know, it's not sitting in a group face to face. That's not it. It doesn't work in the same way at all. So, you know, we need to start finding ways to help men get together in ways that they can enjoy. Like the shed thing is just a perfect idea. You know, I wish we had more of that in the U.S. I hear that they have, you know, a good shed movement in Australia, of course, where it started. But they also have some in Ireland and some in Great Britain. Nothing here. Almost nothing. And I think that would be a very important step for us to take to be able to start some sheds, you know, some places where men could gather. Only men, no women. And men gather and be together and do what they want to do, whether it's woodworking or watching football or you know, doing whatever they want as men together.
And you know, it needs to be said that if when your society has a set of rules that the only place that men gather together is at titty bars, something's drastically going on wrong with that culture.
You got that right.
And that's what we're left with now. And
Well,
of course, they're gathered together for what? They're gathered together to look at women.
there's two other places I think that still have some male space to them. That is football and gaming.
Yep.
Those are two places where men strive to compete with each other. They will do whatever they can to get to that next level, to level 17, and they will bust each other's chops. But at the same time, you find men getting close to each other in both gaming and in football. But look at both those spaces. Both are under attack right now.
Yep, and I find it very interesting that in the gaming community, and I always qualify this, I've been following Gamergate very closely, but I'm not a part of Gamergate because I'm not a gamer, and I'm not going to pretend that I am in order to go in. We have common enemies, but I'm not a gamer, so I watch, I retweet some things I see. I'm enthusiastic about what they're doing, but I'm not part of the deal. But there you have one of the first examples, and they do have women that belong to Gamergate and women that have fought back. But Gamergate, I think, is an amazing phenomenon. It really is. It's just mind-blowing. It is the first example that I know of in our history where the feminist / social justice just come in to say, okay, it's all about women now. Everybody else, put up your toys. Here's the new set of rules. It's all going to be out. And this predominantly male group said, fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it. And now the people that have fostered the social justice warrior group and their / feminist and all their henchmen are losing advertisers left and right. They're falling out. They lost Intel. They lost a bunch of others. And the Gamergates are attacking those advertisers one at a time, letting them have it with their dissatisfaction with this, and they're being heard because money talks.
Yeah, there's a huge percent of the population are gamers.
Yep.
It's not just young 20-year-olds. This is a big thing. There's a huge population. So that's great, man. I really applaud them for standing up because that is a first. Everyone else is caving the NFL. Talk about caving in.
Yeah, and there's the difference. You have a traditionally male domain, all male players in the NFL that now for years now, I forget what month it is, they wear pink out on the field to, screw prostate cancer. It's about breast cancer. And by the way, don't wear any sort of added paraphernalia or color dealing with the traumatic injuries they get. I think I read somewhere one time that the average life expectancy of a professional football player was 55 years old.
Yeah.
They don't band together for that. They band together for women. And the moment that somebody came in and saw a problem with one domestic violence case, the NFL commissioner folded like a cheap suit, and basically came in, and now we've got feminist influence and control in the world of football. It's all going to become about politics, and unfortunately, guys still line up at the stadium to go in and pay them to do that stuff.
Yep, they don't say a word. They don't say a word.
It's sad. If football fans were more like gamers,
all right,
that crap would have been over with in 15 minutes.
Yep.
But they're not.
They could have said, we'll take care of our own people here. You take care of yours, we'll take care of ours. We'll do it the way we see is right. That would have been the masculine way,
I think going back to what we were talking about, Tom, about, what do you do about this?
Yeah.
I got to say, my perspective isn't particularly bright and sunny and encouraging about this, because I think that you're right. We're a long way away from enough social change to create male space that's not infringed upon anymore. We're stuck with this system like it is now. I think probably the best solution is just to encourage as many men as possible to respark some of their old friendships, make new friends, start doing things. because those individuals, the people that can see past all this stuff, and we've got, I'm sure, more men out there that are just as they can be to say, well, there should be women in men's locker rooms and not men in women's locker rooms. That's equality. But is just to keep encouraging. We keep doing what we're doing, trying to help as many men as we can, trying to spread a message as far as we can. And I think out of that does come more men striking out, more men going their own way, more men striking out and speaking up about this, and more men doing things. Like I've got a few compartments now of male space in my life that I did not have 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And it's because of the work I do. And now I'm like real protective of that, absolutely protective, and it works. So we can still get the word out there. I just don't really particularly see a chance of men in this culture now being strong enough to think they're worth carving out their own space and defending it and telling people that want to invade it to, find their way to the door.
Yes. I agree. It's going to be a slow ride.
May never have. It may be really slow, like stuck in park.
Yep.
But there's always there seems to be a growing amount of at least men and women who are starting to wake up to what's going on, and we stay alive for that. Right. Let's see, how are we doing? Boy, we've done pretty good. We're nearly at 40 minutes, and I think we've covered a lot of space, no pun intended. So, anything that you got that you want to add to this?
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to add tonight is the whole idea that how can you put it? There's a threatening nature to when men bond with each other to women, I think. That when men get close, it's a threat. It's seen as a problem. And you can use the mythopoetic thing, to kind of see that. Men got together, basically, and talking about their pain, talking about issues of fathers, and how that hurt them when they went out together, for a couple of days, for the weekend, and did things on their own, and got crazy and got close to each other. That was a threat. The media tore them up. What did the media say? Oh, these men going out and dancing in the woods with drums. It's like, wait a minute, whoa, just a second. These are men who are talking about the very problems that for years men have been shamed for not talking about their emotions, for not talking about the issues, not talking about this, not talking about that. And all of a sudden, now they're made fun of because they start doing that. They start getting closer. They start talking with each other about things that are important to them psychologically. What happens? The media and women start hammering. Oh, those silly men. Look at them. They just went out in the woods. Blah, 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 blah. And this, I think, makes it obvious that a part of what's happening here is that it's threatening for women to see men get close to each other. Because what would be the worst thing about men getting close to each other?
Well, I think in the end there is that they start talking about their own interests.
Yes. Women would be forgotten. I mean, I think that's part of the fear is that, men would stop being white knights. They'd stop being, going off and doing everything for someone else, and they'd start thinking about themselves.
It's a pretty rational fear when you think about it, because that's what men will do. They will start talking about themselves. Ultimately, though, where it's a fail, most men are wired to be protectors and providers. That's what they want to be in their lives.
Yes.
And generally speaking, them having space of their own makes them better at that in most cases. So the fear is probably rational now, because the facts are going to start coming out and men will start talking about them. But during the time that the mythopoetic movement was being demonized and attacked by the media, it would have produced men that were better family men by far than they were before they went into it. I remember I took a trip to Austin during that time. I was married.
Yeah.
I was with my wife, and at the time, and met up with a friend of hers in Austin who was a therapist. And and this is during the height of the mythopoetic movement, the subject came up while we were out at lunch, and she just went nuts.
Huh.
Who do these men they are that they can go out there and to themselves without a single bit of female influence?
Yeah.
And I asked her, you know, why are you threatened by that?
Yeah.
And she couldn't answer. All she could do was look at me like she wanted me to die right there in the restaurant. And I'm serious. That was the look on her face, that she just could not stand the idea that I had challenged her authority, men everywhere, to be a part of their thinking.
Yes. And I think that a part of this is that same kind of fear is associated with men's human rights. That men are getting together, they're bonding with each other over this issue, and that is seen as a threat.
And you know what the real threat about that, Tom, is? Is that now there is a number of women catching on to the fact of how true and important that is, and they're starting to encourage men to be men's human rights activists.
Yes.
And for the women that actually are leeches out there, that's scary as hell. It really is scary.
I can tell you, my wife has been, very supportive of my activism for years and years. I've been involved in a men's group for, I don't know, over 20 years now. It's a group of men that I love dearly. We meet and we kind of check in. We say hello. We tell people what's happening to us, and then we leave and we come back the next week. That experience with them has been so helpful, and it's helpful not just to me, it's helpful to her, because she'll say, why don't you go meet with your men?
And you say, you're damn Skippy, I will.
Exactly. But she sees the huge benefit in my being able to do that, and it takes the pressure off of her. She doesn't have to be my sole support. Oftentimes men have their sole support as just their wife. And that sucks, guys. That really sucks. You need to spread that crap out. You need to spread it out. And lots of men out there are more than willing to help you spread it. And maybe AVFM can help men kind of get together and connect with each other.
We need to start doing that. I mean, we stay extremely busy these days. I mean, everybody sort of teeters on the edge of burnout. And emotionally all the time at AVFM these days. I mean, we're going to keep plugging, nobody worry. But we're in the middle of planning another conference now that it's going to be in a public venue, so it has to be inclusive. But I think you're right. I think AVFM needs to start planning some men-only activities in meeting places. I think we do. We can start it up for our staff and for readers too, contributors, and just get the guys together because while we stay mission-centric, that our mission involves a lot of people from all kinds of backgrounds working together, but it would be nice, the men of AVFM, and to do something fun. And I think we'll do that. I think I got a couple of ideas brewing in the back of my evil male mind.
I'm telling you, I think that sounds like a great idea, Paul.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think we're going to have to do it.
What I was actually thinking was that AVFM is presently helping men connect with each other.
Oh yes, yes.
It's really like the guy on one of the threads yesterday and today was talking about that. How men had been a real support to him through a trying time for him. And it was just men he was connected with through AVFM, through the comment section. So it's doing that job already. I think we can do more. I think you're right.
We had a comment the other day along those lines. It's not exactly about a men's group or anything, but it really, it literally brought water to my eyes. That we've had a reader that's been there for a while, the past year. He's been dealing with a divorce and going through it, and of course he's been hammered by the court. He's been hammered by his ex and family and everything else. But he just left an appreciation note saying that all he had to do was come there and read comments, and he's learned so much about himself and about what's really going on, and it's changed the way he felt about himself. And he had lost his job as a part of the process. Well, now he has a new job, and he's feeling better about who he is. And importantly, he's come to recognize that what happened and what's happening is not something he created. Because men have a tendency, as people who solve problems and fix things, to feel a sense of failure, whether they were at fault for breaking things or not.
Yes.
And I think that's a real important thing that men can give each other, that ABFM gives the men that go there. And I think, as we grow and develop and more talent comes and more people willing to come to volunteer, we've got a large staff now. I'd like to see it 15 or 20 times bigger than it is. And then we really can start going out there and organizing and arranging all these things and encouraging other men to do that outside ABFM. It doesn't matter where it is or what you call yourself. Men getting together is emotionally, psychologically one of the most healthy things they can do in order to keep a sense of balance in their lives. We have a culture of women in this culture, and of course I'm going to say, okay, not all women are like that. I got it. I work with them every day at ABFM. But the fact of the matter is that we have a culture of women that want it all. They want.
Oh, they should have it all.
Oh yeah, and they've been told that over and over again, that you go girl, you deserve it. I mean, even that kind of terminology. There's a L'Oreal, I think, has a slogan, because you deserve it. I mean, it's a generic. It's more and more infused into the culture that women believe they're entitled to have every last shred of a man, every last shred of his work, his existence. He's not allowed to have friends. He's not allowed to have interests. His sole purpose for existing is to make her life easy. And that has gone just absolutely insane in this culture, and men need to start rebelling from that.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yes, absolutely. Not going to die happy that way, guys.
Not.
And in the end, anyway, we're running out of time here. Want to just say thank you to everybody. Oh yeah, one last item. Want to toss in there. This Saturday, the 19th, I'm going to be doing a video, just me one-on-one, from my little old YouTube station. We're almost at 15,000 subscribers. Why don't you help us get there by subbing now to this channel? But I'm going to have a message for the 19th of November, which is International Men Day, and get that video during the live of it or after it's done.
Oh, you will say that again because your voice broke up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. On Saturday, November 19th, I'll be doing a message for International Men's Day. I want guys to be able to hear that, because unfortunately, even on that day of celebration, you're going to hear a story about encroachment on male space that you are absolutely going to find shocking. And I'm not going to give away what it is, but it will be my International Men's Day message coming up this Saturday on the 19th, sometime during the day. And with that, anything else you want to add, Tom, before we say goodnight to everybody?
I think we can just say goodnight. And, I think the summary of tonight is, guys out there, you're valuable. Take care of yourself. Be around other men for a while. Have fun. Take care of yourself. And on that note, Paul, what's not in MANstream? There's no
I.
There's no I in MANstream. You take care.
Bye-bye.